compassion and common sense during the quarantine. I thought a lot about it, and with everything going on around the world, it's important. I believe it's important to practice common sense and compassion. There's a lot of people suffering. A lot of people suffer from anxiety and depression, and even if you don't, at some point during this, you will suffer from some sort of anxiety or depression. Our world is changing, and we need to look out for one another. So there's a quote by Dalai Lama, and he says, "Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive." And that really resonated with me, is that, we're all in this together, and we need to help and support each other through this trying time. So what is true compassion? It's the ability to be sympathetic and empathetic, as well as having the desire to alleviate another's pain and suffering. So, when you think about compassion, you think about, trying to think about small acts of kindness that you could practice during this quarantine, with everybody stuck at home and really practicing the social distancing. We can do small acts of kindness from home, and I thought about that, like, what does that look like? And I thought about, maybe, like, for me, I know I cleaned out my, some drawers in the closet and bagged up some clothes that, I don't need, so that I could donate to people who are in need. We have a little bit of a, we have a homeless population that they're in need of all basic needs stuff. So it's like, going through, seeing what you have, things that you haven't used that you could maybe donate. I know finances are tough right now, and people don't have the ability to donate money or, contribute, as far as financial needs. But even $5, buying your neighbor a case of water, somebody that lives alone. There's so many little acts of kindness that we can do, and really practice true compassion for each other. And, true compassion starts with yourself. You have to be kind to yourself first before you can, and there's another quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, "One of the most beautiful compensations of life is that no man can sincerely try to help another without helping themselves." That's key. For so many years, I wanted to help other people, but I wasn't taking care of myself. And I had to take a look at that and know that, just like the old saying goes, when you're on an airplane, you need to put the oxygen mask on first before you can save somebody else. And that resonates with me. Self-care is a huge component to being compassionate towards ourselves, and just treating ourselves right. So, the most important thing is that we identify and monitor our thoughts and feelings throughout this, and checking in with one another to see how other people are doing. Others are experiencing high anxiety or isolation, and, like, how can we help ourselves? How can we help others if we're not helping ourselves? So, the first thing of compassion is to be kind to yourself, give yourself a break, bring your attention and awareness to recognizing that there is suffering going on right now all around the world. And, we're not alone. So it's important that we reach out to one another and do a daily check-in, and, make sure people are okay, especially, think about the people who suffer, from anxiety and depression anyway. Like, how can we support them to minimize that? So, there's a lot of things that we can do, like the biggest one that I wanted to talk about is like active listening. And what does that mean? It's, when someone's sharing their pain or their suffering, it's, we're already formulating a response in our mind before they even finish what they're saying. So, we interject the conversation, and we need to hear the emotions, not just the words. So it's like active listening is really like listening to the feelings that are going on with the person that you're engaged with or talking to, um, and not just what they're saying, so that you can be supportive. Another thing is gratitude, is really being grateful for what we do have instead of focusing on what you don't. I know when this first all happened, I got really, full of anxiety financially, like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get through this? And, everybody's going through it. And to find gratitude, for me, that's helpful, is making a gratitude list so that I can remind myself of the things I have and not focus on those things that I don't have. I have a roof over my head. I have a family that's supportive and loving, just the little things that we take for granted every day. So now, our whole world has changed, and it's going to look different from here on. So most people don't do well with change. I know I have a hard time with it. So it's about, just really like, how do we incorporate this new world, this new way of living? How do we incorporate like the compassion and having that common sense, And people think like, oh, common sense is common sense, but no, some people just don't get it, especially the younger generation. They think they're invincible. They think that they can, just go out into the world and it's not going to affect them. And we really need to, just keep educating them on the importance of common sense and what that looks like. So when I think of common sense, I think everybody should think the way I think, and that's not the reality. Everybody's perception is different. So, a lot of people, their perception is based on how they're feeling, and then there's people whose perception is based on what they're thinking. So, it looks different for everyone. So I know the most important common sense thing during this quarantine is to really like find some structure and come up with some sort of schedule to keep your sanity intact. I know, like, just like, having, those couple of hours to do some physical exercise to just keep that stress level down. Other things is like, certain time, you work, doing what you can do for work from home, doing some physical exercise, getting out into nature, just creating some sort of schedule to keep you living your life. And, the other common sense things that we think people know, but might not, is, just especially that younger generation, wear a mask when you go outside, sanitize your hands. Washing your hands is huge. Just every time you're out and about or in your car, and you come back in the house, wash your hands. Practice that social distancing. I have an adult child who thinks that she's invincible and she can just go out and about and not protect herself. And, reminding them that it's not just about
that's what's going to happen.
them
I'm not
getting
a
sick.
fan, but I just think that's what's going to happen.
Could you please put you on mute, please? Thank you. You know, just reminding them the importance of the social distancing and the hand washing and protecting themselves, because it's not only about them, it's about, you know,
Yeah.
people who are elderly or have an immune system issue that they could be infected and
Yeah,
not.
like not showing face, nothing, right?
Can you put your call on mute, Jen, please? Thanks. Hello?
So I'm the same age as him. So when he was doing this whole thing about like,
Okay, we got some people who are not muted,
we're in the same grade, and you fucking did
so
it.
we're a little bit off track here, but that's all right. Thank you. So back to the common sense. You know, just really just being mindful of
Yeah.
how you're taking care of yourself and practicing some common sense. But lastly, you know, just be kind to yourself and to others. We are all in this together, so let's practice a little bit of compassion and common sense. So with that being said,
Hey, do what you gotta do.
I'm
I'm
gonna
sorry.
open it up to the group for any comments, concerns, questions, and we will see you next week. Thank you.